Welcome to another episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. I can't believe it. We're almost a third of the way through the NFL season as we enter week 6. And thanks for coming along to our picks and preview episode. And we're kicking off the episode rather than ending it with our guest picker slot. And we've got a great guest picker this week, a very last minute guest picker, and we're very appreciative for it. And we've got Nick Bodkins from LTS, the Bodkins Show. Nick, thanks for coming, first of all. Great to have you on Good Teams and Great Teams Cover.
Yeah, it's always an honor to be on the show with you, Paul. We did the Paul Redmond show a couple weeks ago, and you've been on our show not too long, right shortly after that. So, looking forward to this. I wouldn't say a great picker. My picks, if you've been following our show, I am dead last on our Thursday pick show, I think. So, I wouldn't say anything about great picking. Sometimes my brain and heart go together, and sometimes it doesn't work out so well.
Yeah, that's but there's always 1 week to start the turnaround, right? And this could be the week for you, Bodkins.
Yeah.
Week. And look, I had a bad week last week. I had my first losing week last week. But it's not about how many times you get knocked down. It's about how many times you get knocked back.
Exactly. They can't keep a good dog down,
Exactly. So we'll get into it. You're going to take part in our FourFold challenge. But before we get to that, a couple of shout outs. So as always, please go follow us. Good Teams and Great Teams Cover over on Spotify. Follow to be notified of new episodes. Follow us on our Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, if you want to see our faces while we're talking football, at GTW_GTC. And of course, just want to shout out the guys at the Fantasy Gameday app. This hoodie is absolutely fire, by the way. Love it. Thanks, Gimmy, for sending it. But the Fantasy Gameday app has finally launched in the UK for the 2023 season. The first time we get a high-quality NFL daily fantasy game here in the UK. It's not something we've had before, and these guys are rocking it so far. Every week there's been more people that have entered. The prize pool's got bigger. And because you're a listener of Good Teams and Great Teams Cover, if you're listening to this, we've got a great offer for you. So if you go to the Fantasy Gameday app, so you can go to your Apple App Store, your Google Play Store, or the website, FantasyGameday.app, download the app from there, register, use the promo code COVER, COVER, Good Teams and Great Teams Cover, all capital letters. Once you've deposited some funds, entered a lineup, you'll then be credited with a free game. The winners have been winning sort of north of £100 so far, which has been pretty cool. 121 entrants last week. That's only going to increase as the guys get the word out about how good this Fantasy Gameday app is. Enter your lineup using the budget. You've got a £40,000 budget to pick the best group of NFL stars for that week. The lineup shuts at 5 p.m. It's only available to those age 18 years or over in the UK only. And as always, everybody, please gamble responsibly. But go do it now. Sign up with promo code COVER. Cool. That's the promo out there, ain't it? Hopefully that's giving you some time to have a look at the lines. Before we have a look at that stuff, and we're going to talk some Packers as well, it's been up and down, hasn't it, so far? But just for the benefit of, we've got a lot of the guys from Let's Talk Sports that listen and view our show, but we also have plenty that don't, that from outside the network. Where can the guys find you? What shows are you on? What can we listen and watch you on, Nick?
Yeah, you can catch me on the Let's Talk Sports show, Let's Talk Sports Network, on the Let's Talk Sports show, or even on my own YouTube. If you see it right behind me, there we go. We get the laptop's messing up, so you can see it right behind me with the flag. That's the Bodkins Show. You can catch me on YouTube there. We usually have about 4 shows a week going right now. The LTS show, we do shows Monday night, Thursday night, and Sunday morning, and then Sunday night we do a show as well. I do a show as well, so you can catch us out. We're heavy into football, but Monday nights is a little baseball, even some wrestling, some hockey. Thursday, the first hour is usually a little bit of everything. And then Thursday, the second half, we kind of do what you guys do and pick all the games against the spread. Sunday morning, we get everybody prepared for all their games and fantasy lineups. And Sunday night is just a recap of all the Sunday games where we give out our dogs and turds of the week. So, that's everybody's favorite segment. So.
Absolutely, it's a great one for sure. Absolutely, I always see that first thing on a Monday morning. Well, Monday morning for us here in the UK. By the time I get to see it, but yeah, it's certainly an awesome watch. And maybe what hasn't been quite an awesome watch so far have been the Green Bay Packers. We talked a few weeks ago for the Paul Redmond Show on Let's Talk Sport about kind of that transition to Jordan Love. Monday was probably the roughest night the roughest game and roughest night he had against the Raiders. How are you feeling so far about how the Packers have started off?
Yeah, it has not started great. Aaron Jones has not played, all but he played week 1. So I guess you can say we're undefeated and we got Aaron Jones on the field. And he hasn't been on the field since. We got a bye week this week. So hopefully he comes back after the bye. It's weird because he said after week 1, he felt like he could go back in, but we haven't seen him in now 5 weeks since. So Jordan struggled. He, the 3 interceptions, I thought the kind of push off there at the end, Watson hasn't, he's now working his way back in. Love has got to show he can't, God, throw the ball down the field. He's got to do a better, his deep ball accuracy is not very good. It seems like everything's short and underneath. Offensive line's obviously banged up. No Bakhtiari, no Elton Jenkins. So that, Bakhtiari, I think his career's over. I don't know if we'll ever see him again in the form that we used to see him, much less maybe not even a Packer uniform again. I don't know. But defense, what are we doing? We were lining off the Raiders 5 yards deep, so it's just, it is what it is. We're struggling right now. I'm reminded that Aaron Rodgers, I said 6 wins. I'd be happy as long as Jordan looked okay, and he's looked decent at times. Aaron went 6-10 his first year as well. So, and he had some up and down games. We got to remember this is only his kid's 5th start. So I try not, why I said he sucked on Monday if you were watching Monday's show, but that's living in the moment. And if you take a step back and rethink things and, you just, let's see what happens the rest of the year and kind of go, day by day. So,
yeah, I think you're probably going to expect to see those ups and downs, aren't you, from Jordan Love? I know obviously he spent the 3 years backing up, but at the end of the day, this is a rookie year for him, right? In terms of being in there. The injuries around, particularly into the skill position players, haven't helped. Aaron Jones had that hamstring. He's taken a few weeks for Watson to get back in the team. So, yeah, I think probably there's a bit of just needed support for the defense, maybe just needing to help out a bit more, I think, because they've got talent.
Yeah, and we got to remember, too, this is the same exact roster that Aaron Rodgers went. What, he went 8 games, 9 games last year. So, it's not like, if we expect a Hall of Famer, Jordan Love's replacing a Hall of Famer. So wouldn't you take a step back? I think so. My co-host Tanner tells me we're, one of the worst teams in the league. We're only going to win 4 games. I don't believe that. I believe we're, like I said, 6 to 7 wins, and I'm probably okay with that somewhere down the line. The division's still wide open, right? Everybody else in this division sucks outside of Detroit. Looks for real. So,
yeah, I think it's definitely a wild card opportunity still.
Yeah.
Definitely. Detroit looking good, but the rest, Minnesota are a mess
at
the minute.
Minnesota might be in a full rebuild mode now that they put Justin Jefferson on the IR. Who knows what happens to Kirk Cousins? Maybe there's talk of trading him. I don't think they will. And then Bears are still, the Bears, and why they looked good one Thursday night. Who knows what they'll do this week? As them and Minnesota are playing actually this week, so it'll be interesting.
Could be an interesting game. Could be a fun game. The 2 teams that are in a mess like that, it's not being a fun game. Packers off this week, and they're at Broncos in week 7, right?
Yeah. So Denver's. I mean, they look like maybe the worst team in the league. So, or tops of it.
There's a few teams making that claim, I think, to be the worst team in the league, worst team in the league at the minute. But yeah, Denver maybe just leading the race. Let's get into the week 6 slate then. Bodkins, you're going to be our guest picker for our FourFold challenge. So the guests have had some mixed fortunes, but the guests have outperformed me so far. I suck at this. I'm 9, 10, and 1 so far.
Hey.
Through 5 weeks, and the guests are 10 and 10, so 500.
Ooh, okay.
So, yeah.
Kerry, I told you my picks have been awful on the Thursday night show again, so I'm dead last in the 5 of us. So,
This could be different. We had a football talk with Bo on last week, so he went 3 and 1. So
Bo's smart. I'm in his pick'em league. He invited me to be in his pick'em league, and me and him he's first and I'm second. So, but that's not against the spread. That's just straight money lines,
That's too straight money lines too easy. We don't deal with that. We don't
Yeah,
deal with
that's why we pick the spreads too. Money line's just too easy. I feel like
too easy. So hit us up then. Who's your favorite of the week then? Nick, who is it you're going to go as your favorite for the FourFold challenge?
So my favorite's the 49ers at -7. It looks like maybe Deshaun Watson's probably not playing. The 49ers look like an absolute best team in this league. I know the Browns are coming off a bye. It is to be said that Jim Schwartz is like 7-1 against the 49ers against Kyle Shanahan or something crazy like that. So, so there's that. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say the 49ers because I do believe no Deshaun Watson possibly. And my other, I'm going to say the 49ers. I'm just kind of glancing over the spread. I like the 49ers at -7. That's a small spread, so I'm going to go ahead. I don't know how you look at the 49ers and not hammer them home after I'm going to hammer the 49ers. So after what they did to your Cowboys, Paul, your Cowboys.
Yeah, it was bad. It's all gone wrong since I came on the pregame show for week 3.
We talked about how good they could be undefeated. They get loose to the Cardinals, and then they get their asses waxed by the 49ers. So
it was rough on Sunday night.
I hope you stay up too late trying to stay up for that game. I hope you probably went to bed halftime at least.
I know I went to bed earlier. Yeah, luckily went to bed early. Didn't need to be watching the whole of that one. We'll do you one better on the 49ers as well because we cut the lines early, so you'll get -6.5 on the 49ers. So
I'll take it. I like that even more. So
half a point better, cool. The Niners just look like an absolute juggernaut at the minute, don't they? They don't really. It doesn't really feel like
they look like the best team in the league. The best team. If if the Bodkins power rankings, they are number 1. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels they can kill you. They can do it so many different ways as well.
And they just got Randy Gregory too. And once he works his way, like that defense is so good. And then offensively, they have so many weapons. And Brock Purdy's the perfect trigger man for them. So, I like the 49ers. Then if you're giving me 6.5 at -6.5, I like it even more.
Cool, good stuff. -6.5 on the Niners. Then, we're probably going to see DTR again, aren't we, for the Browns? And he didn't look too good in his first start. Shame he looked so good in preseason, but preseason is preseason, right? Cool. Who is your dog for the week? Who's the dog that's going to bark the loudest? Who's your favorite underdog?
Yeah, so I just shit on this team, but no Justin Jefferson and the way they looked on Thursday night. Give me the Bears at +2.5, I believe it is. So I like the Bears at plus. I like the Bears money line, to be honest. I think the Bears could win this game. They've played, the last 8 quarters, they played 6 really good ones. So, so I'm going to go. I'm just going to scroll through here one more time. Yeah, I really like the Bears. I'll take the Bears at +2.5. I'm going to go with as my dog, the Bears at +2.5. I like them the most.
Bears +2.5. You'd love it if it was 3, right? But +2.5. +2.5. Still good.
I think the Bears could win the game outright. I think they could. I think they could win the Bears. I think they could win that game outright.
Obviously, they got a huge win on Thursday Night Football last week. Is it too much to start? Maybe is that a glimmer of hope for the Bears, or is it still kind of dead? Or
I think last week it looked like a glimmer of hope. I mean, they finally DJ Moore was going. That Vikings defense stinks too. So and no Justin Jefferson. Their running game, Madison hasn't looked great at times. So give me the Bears.
Nice. Yeah, the running game, particularly for Minnesota, has just been almost non-existent. I think they're at 80 yards a game at the minute. It's down there with one of the worst rushing attacks in the league. But yeah, like that, Bears. Yeah, I've been stung by the Bears a couple of times so far, kind of thinking they'd cover a couple of spreads. But yeah, I agree. I think they could go win the game. And all of a sudden, if they can put 2 wins back to back, everything might not seem so bad in Chi-Town.
Yeah, you win one more after that. That's called a winning streak.
That's a streak. Yeah, that's a streak. And like I said, that wildcat, NFC wildcat picture, I might be getting a bit carried away, but
Yeah, I mean, possible. It's still, a long season to go yet.
Cool. Give us let's go with the under first then. Which game are you sort of thinking that's going to be low scoring or what's going to hit the under this week?
The under, yeah. I'm going to say, I'm looking at it again. I'm going to say the Cardinals Rams at 48.5. I do think the Rams can score. The Cardinals are kind of scrappy. I really like this Cardinals team. I know they only got one win, but they just play with everybody. They don't score a lot of points, but they stop a lot of people as well. So I'm going to go Rams Cardinals as the under at 48.5.
Nice. It seems a real big number. When I saw that on the card, I don't know if there's just something I'm missing here. I don't know.
The Cardinals aren't a high scoring team, so the team I thought about, the game I thought about too, Paul, was the Titans game. I can't remember. I was looking at who they're playing and what that over under.
London. It's in London. The London under.
The London under. So that game's, I forgot that game's in London. So the Titans haven't scored 30 points in 23 straight games.
Wow.
So there's that. So I would almost maybe look at the under. Give me that, the 41 in Baltimore, Tennessee game. Give me that one instead. The London, that game's always sloppy. It's always nasty. The Titans can't score. Ravens can't score. Both got decent defenses. Give me the under in the Titans Ravens game.
Yeah, that's the third and final game in London this season. Both have been under so far. So the game at Wembley, Jacksonville, Atlanta was under. Jacksonville, Bills was under last week. I thought we'd shed this. So we had, I would say I don't own it, obviously, but like London had for a long time, it was huge on the unders. And for a bit of a renaissance of some high scoring games, and it balanced out to where actually it hit over more than it hit under the games in London.
The low scoring games, you guys are used to soccer, so it's just, very, you know what I mean? So it's, 2-1. You guys are used to that,
Yeah. So. I mean, especially the guys that go watch the soccer team at that stadium anyway. That's a bit of a soccer guy for our guys watching. They're not usually very good, the Tottenham Hotspurs. But yeah, again, I like that one. I think that's a good shout. We could go 3-0, the London unders. Both teams coming over this week. Baltimore got here quite early. I think they got here yesterday. I'm not sure if the Titans are here yet, but different strategies I think teams have had in terms of traveling over. Like the Bills came over really late last week.
Yeah, and I think the Jags were glad that they played the back-to-back over there and worked out well.
Yeah, definitely coming away with 2 wins after they'd been struggling to start the year. Cool. Okay, finishes off then. Buckins, what's going to be your over for the week?
So yeah, my over here, I'm going to look again. Man, it's hard to hit on the under. You mean we're on the under? Oh, we're on the over, right?
Over now, yeah.
Just because it's so low, I'm going to go back to that 49ers Browns game at 37. Like, I feel like the 49ers could score 28 and, the Browns could lock in if Watson does or doesn't play, they could lock in to 10 points maybe, you know what I mean? So
San Fran could cover it by themselves. They could San Fran could hit 38 points,
yeah.
Right?
No, that it's so low, it's enticing, right? And it'll probably hit the under for some odd reason, but I feel like that's what Vegas wants us to do, is hit the under, and that's why it's 37. You're like, I'll take the 37. So I'll hit the over on that. The other, because there's just everything else is just like, man, I don't think another under could be tomorrow night's game. The Chiefs Broncos. The Broncos absolutely stink. Chiefs are banged up a little bit, and that over under is 47. So you could look at that game, but over wise, man, I feel like that's a trap, and I'm falling into it. So I'm gonna go with the over on that game.
Yeah, it's just well, I think that obviously that Cleveland defense has been really, really good so far, hasn't it? And it's going to be this is going to be his biggest test so far. I think for sure against the Niners. So we'll see, and I'm sure Shanahan will have.
Well, is that? Oh, let me change that, Paul. I'm going to change it one last. Sorry, I just look. Give me the Lions Bucks at 43.5. I
Nice.
feel both teams are going to can put up a lot of points. We just saw the Lions. The Lions are absolute wagon. The Bucks coming off a bye week, like they can sling it a little bit as well. So yeah, I'm going to go 43.5 on the over a Bucks Lions. Mark it down. Let's hammer that one. We're hammering that one. I'm not falling for Vegas's trap. I probably wish that'll probably hit the over, and this will hit the under. I'll be screwed, but hey, that's just that's gambling, baby.
That's the way it goes, right? And surprised by Tampa so far? They're sat there at 3-1, right?
I am, yeah. I'm all for it, man. I'm all for the Baker Mayfield revenge tour. I'm all in. I'm rooting for the Bucks. They could win that division. That division's wide open. You look at Carolina stinks, but Atlanta's got some issues, but can win that division. The Bucks can win that division. The Saints could win that division. They all have their own issues, but I think Tampa Bay might be the best overall team.
Yeah, it's been nice to see kind of Baker hit the ground running there, and they've looked good. I think Mike Evans should be back fit as well, and they've got he's got a couple of guys in Evans and Godwin in particular that those are great guys. If you can give them a chance, they can make plays for you to win games. And the defense has been a bit better than expected. They suck at running the ball, but the defense has been okay as well. Cool, right? So we've got 49ers minus 6.5, Bears plus 2.5. Detroit, Tampa over 43.5, and Baltimore, Tennessee in London under 41. The London under. I hate it. I just want to see points in London, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Bodkins, thanks ever so much for coming on. We really, really appreciate you. Go and follow Bodkins. Follow his show. Follow the shows on Let's Talk Sports, the Bodkins show there. Follow the shows on Let's Talk Sports. You'll have a great time watching it. Bodkins and co as well as the guys that are on there with him. Great entertainment and talk some great stuff. You get some fantasy tips, some picks, some gambling stuff, all covered there. So thanks very much. Pleasure to have you on. Hopefully we'll have you on a bit further down the line in the season, and hopefully the Packers' fortunes have turned around as well, Nick.
Always, yeah, I hope so too. So we'll that's our hope. So you know what I mean? We'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for coming on. I'm going to throw it over to Byron, Joe, and myself with the rest of the picks and preview from Week 6. Thanks to Nick Bodkins there as our guest for our FourFold challenge. We'll see if he can become the first guest to go 4-0 or 0-4. Who knows? Anyway, we're across here. Joe and Byron have joined me, and we'll do the rest of the show from here. Gentlemen, how are you doing? Welcome to Week 6. How are you both?
Yeah, good. Yeah, and full into mid-season mode now. So
I was about to say a third of the way through. It's getting there, isn't it? But
sad.
Yeah, last weekend in London as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's just jump straight in because I've done all the intro stuff on the other recording. I forgot, so we don't need to do any of that. So we'll go through the 5 games we've picked out as the biggest games of the week. We'll give you our Fantasy Game Day tips. For 3 of the games, because 3 of the games you'll be able to get a Fantasy Game Day player. And we'll go through our FourFold challenge to add on to Nick's picks and our ATS and shout out any best bets along the way. So let's start in London. The final week in London, it's absolutely flown by, the 3 weeks in London. And the first 2 games have been a bit meh so far. Like Jaguars Bills came to life at the end. So we're due a real good game. Titans, Ravens. Titans are 4-point underdogs. Over-under is 41. How if it's at Spurs again? Fast turf,
yeah.
Fast turf. It's much lower over-under, so maybe fast turf works here. How are we thinking? The Ravens coming off just a mess of a game against the Steelers last week. Titans, a lot of loss at the Colts. Big game for both of them. I think the loser of this one's going back in real trouble. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Titans have been one of the weirder teams this season. Like, record-wise, maybe not, but I don't really seem to know which Titans team's going to turn up. Are they going to whoop the Bengals 27-3, or they're going to, middle out to nothing against the Colts and Gardner Minshew? I really don't know which Titans team is going to turn up, and especially because I've got to internationally travel. Who knows what state they'll get there in. I still really like the Ravens in this matchup. Lamar on that fast turf could be doing some quick running. Zamar isn't a name. Zay is a name. Zay Flowers, that turn ability he has, and he's so quick twitch. I think he might have a day this weekend. Again, that fast track that we keep talking about is going to play in some effect for him. He's one who I think is just like ready to pop. Like he's doing really well already, but I think he's going to be in my six-fold Heinz Beans anytime touchdown challenge again this weekend. I haven't set it yet, but I imagine he will be because he just looks like he's ready to explode. Like I think he's going to be the second half of the season one of the wide receivers to watch. So I just don't think
he's in my fantasy team, so hopefully so.
Oh, kind of it all. Yeah, I struggle to see how the Titans keep up with the Ravens unless the defense has a real good game, but I don't really think they're going to, truthfully. I think Ravens are going to win this maybe not at a canter, but I think the Ravens are much the better team, and I do expect better things from them. They've had 2 losses that have both been relatively freaky. We're saying, I think Joe was saying on Tuesday, like they could be 5-0 and we wouldn't be stunned just watching their games. Whereas the Titans, maybe 0-5 would be harsh because they did whoop the Bengals, but like they could be 1-4 and it would be like, okay, it kind of makes sense. They're relatively low talent. Treylon Burks has been ruled out again this week. I mean, he's not really shown anything that he's going to be a big miss, but it's certainly a body that you want on the field sooner rather than later. I just think they're kind of getting a bit thin fast in Tennessee. So
again, that's not a surprise. This is a trend for them the last couple of years with the injuries. Joe, how are you seeing this final London game going?
Yeah, I think it is one of them weird games where it's hard, like anything really could happen. Like I said, Ravens have been one of them weird teams where, yeah, they should really be 5-0, but they're 3-2. But I could also see them losing this game as well, just because how they have been playing out. But they could be the better team and still lose it, especially against like a Titans team where, like I said, week to week, completely different. But if it's like these kind of games, they come out on top when it's usually like a slugfest. So I'm expecting, Lamar's actually had a good season when you actually look at his first 5 games in this new offense. I think it's just the pieces around him have just not been played well enough. So I think it's going to be a lot of throwing from Lamar just because I know Tennessee's strengths is up front. And then I'm curious how the Ravens defense will do against the Titans. Well, surprisingly, the Ravens are like a top 5, top 10 defense in ratings, but I don't know if they actually are that good. It might just be the teams they've played. So I'm sure they get tested with the run, but again, and then we'll see what Hopkins does coming off that big game last week because he showed up and it was like, oh, the Titans have actually got some wide receivers who might do some damage. So I think it's going to be a close one either way. Hopefully it's a better game than the last few, but it could go, any direction. I feel like they're just 2 weird teams.
Pop quiz question. DeAndre Hopkins had his first 100-yard game with Ryan Tannehill last week. How many different quarterbacks has DeAndre Hopkins had a 100-yard game with? You might have seen this stat. I don't know. But
I haven't. 6?
I was saying 8.
11. That's wild. That's just 11 different quarterbacks he's managed to get a 100-yard game out of.
And if you want to keep this podcast under 3 hours, maybe we'll take the guessing the quarterbers off air. But I do want to guess them off air. So
we can do that. Yeah. Well, I'll give you one. You've got one, Ryan Tannehill, after last week. But yeah, just incredible stat. I think probably that was the first time they seemed to really unleash him last week. I think he could be key in this one. A couple of stats for this one. I'm under the weather. This is my Michael Jordan flu game. Shout out Night Nurse. Shout out All Bass Inhaler. Shout out Wilco's paracetamol, Wilco's RIP, for getting me to this point. But it's not stopped me finding the stats. Opposite to you, Byron, I love Tennessee in this one. This is a game that they are probably not supposed to win. These are the games that Vrabel wins. I love them with the +4. I really love the money line. I'm tempted to. I'll probably just wait until Sunday, but I'm so tempted to back Titans money line. Reason why I think they will win the game, or certainly at least cover. And it's a Ravens stat. So I think it's 74. So almost 3 out of 4 games where Ravens are a favourite in the last couple of years, the under hits. So I think if it's close, the Titans can win the game and therefore also, win the game outright, also cover. And Vrabel is an underdog. Tennessee's last 20 is an underdog, 13-6-1 against the spread. Look, it's the Tomlin similar to the Tomlin stats, right? Vrabel as an underdog. It burned me against Cleveland the other week, but you got to stick with it, right? So, yeah, I'm really loving Tennessee in this one. I think Tennessee can win now. You've got the Jags against the Colts. They're right back, not that they're out of it. They're only one game back, but it just feels like they're right back in the AFC South mix. I don't want to back the under because I don't want 3 London unders, but I'm sensing the under here just with that Ravens stat, and the Ravens can't seem to kill teams off, and Titans are probably going to keep it close. Any sort of leans on bets for you guys for this one?
I mean, I've gone the over on my FourFold. There's a little spoiler alert for later in the show. Do you know why? Because London goes over a lot, and it hasn't yet. That is my entire working thesis.
Okay, cool.
Can't go 0-3. Could have been 61 for the over, and I'm going the over.
That'd have been great. It'd be great if London got a game where the over-underline was 61.
Yeah. If it involved Ryan Tannehill as well, that would be some quarterback on the other side.
Yeah. More likely to be a college game in Dublin, I guess, that's going to get that line. But hey ho. Cool. All right. Anything else to add on Ravens Titans before we move on? Cool. Before we go through the other games, because we've got the next 3 out of 4 games, we're going to talk about and give some recommendations for our Fantasy Game Day players. Wearing the hoodie, I need to wash this. I've worn it so much. Loving the hoodie, especially because I've just been disgustingly ill all day. I've just sweated in it. Everyone needed to know that. Fantasy Game Day, go download it now. It's available on your app stores, your Google Play Store, your Apple App Store, or just go to FantasyGameday.app. You've got the links there. Daily Fantasy UK in the NFL is growing, and these guys are leading the way. Great app, great competition. Sunday Stars competition where you can get the 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock games. Pick your line up out the budget of £40,000. Pick a lineup that you think is going to score the most. Watch your points roll in. And if you're in the top 20%, you can win yourself a cash prize. And because you're a listener of Good Teams and Great Teams Cover, or viewer, if you're watching on YouTube, if you go download the app and register using the promo code COVER, COVER. I'm not going to do the phonetics again, but COVER. Once you've deposited funds and entered the lineup, you will get a free game to use. So you could use that to enter a second lineup this week because you can enter up to 5, or you could save it for a week down the line. But make sure you do. We've been playing it and enjoying it so far. I use the app. Obviously, the guys across the pond can't access it at the minute, because it's a UK-based game. But we are collaborating. We're doing okay so far. I think we've got better and better each week. But come and join the fun. You've got to be 18 years old or over to enter. It's available in the UK only. And as always, please gamble responsibly. Let's talk Jags Colts, because we just mentioned the Titans there. So let's talk Colts Jags. Jags are 4-point favourites, over under 45.5. Richardson injured last week, out for what's looking like a month. Minshew's going to start. I guess what's the impact and how the Colts going to fare with Minshew at quarterback as opposed to Richardson?
It's a revenge game, isn't it? Another one. With Minshew going back again.
Yeah,
no, it's like I'll keep popping up. But yeah, Minshew playing against obviously is a former club. I think with Minshew, it's not the biggest drop off from the starter. I think like Richardson has certain skills which Minshew just doesn't have, like the running ability and and especially scoring amount of touchdowns he has rushing. But I don't see a massive drop on in terms of like the actual the passing game, and I think the Jags have actually done pretty well against a rushing of in the first 5 weeks. So I think it is going to be a big passing game for the Colts, and I think Minshew, it might actually work out in their favor that Minshew is playing. Obviously, you probably want Richardson to play, being your rookie, but I think this is a close game, and I think the first game I know the Jags won, but I don't think the Jags blew them away. The Colts were in it right to the end, and I think especially the Colts defense played very well against the Jags offense. I think it's because the Jags probably played their best game last week, so kind of continuing to this week. Because I think if they play like that against the Colts, I think the Jags will win. But I'm still not 100% confident in what they actually are. I think they feel like they're going to be a very up and down team. And obviously, if they win this, they go 2-0 against the Colts this year, and it's a big step for them winning the AFC South. But I don't think it's if the Colts loses, then they're certainly out, because it's one of them weird divisions where 8 or 9 games could easily win this division by the end of it if the Jags go on a bit of a slide.
Feels like that trip to the 2 weeks in London were real important for the Jaguars. Started off kind of stumbled out the gates, didn't they? And then 2 wins, one where they didn't need to particularly play well against the Falcons, but showed some improvement. And then, as I say, you're right, Joe, put in the best performance of the year. We saw the best of Travis Etienne. We saw Calvin Ridley. He had a good week 1 against the Colts, and then had a real good week 5 against the Bills. So yeah, to come out of that trip 2-0, I think it feels like the Jags are going to have some momentum. I suppose it could be then a real letdown spot potentially. They made a bit of a meal. They beat the Colts by 10 points in week 1, didn't they? I think it was 31-21, but made a bit of a meal of it. The Tank Bigsby, bonehead play. They eventually kind of won and covered. But yeah, it feels like a close one. Although I think the Colts in Jacksonville haven't been particularly great the last few years. I think there's so many in a row. I think they've lost down there. So yeah. So for Byron, what's your feeling?
Yeah, kind of similar, really. I love the Minshew revenge game narrative. Love revenge games, love Gardner Minshew. So perfect combination. I think Jacksonville are the better team. I've been high on Jacksonville all off season and all through the season. When they've had the defeats, I think they've kind of shown enough. It's just been, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but like clumsy in big spots, which isn't great, but like isn't necessarily repeatable week to week. And we are only 5 weeks into the season. I think, obviously, like Joe says, I don't think there is too much of a downgrade from from Anthony Richardson to Gardner Minshew. So I think it's going to be fun watching Minshew sling it about, which I think he'll probably do a little more than Anthony Richardson. Richardson maybe obviously runs it a bit more and maybe hasn't fully unleashed his cannon as he might do in future years. But I think the Jags are a better team. I think one of my picks of the week is going to be going high on Calvin Ridley yards again. He has had a few drops, but again, I don't really expect drops to be predictive. I know Calvin Ridley is a real good receiver. He's plus 40, well, it's 40 to 1. I hate doing that, plus 4,000.
We'll get those. Don't worry, Byron. We'll get those American,
40 to 1 to lead the league in receiving on Sunday games again. It was 50 to 1 last week, and he finished 6th, I believe. And I just think that's how you beat the Colts. You throw on them. They've got a real bad passing defense, and Lawrence is going to be happy slinging it about again. So I think that's how you get at them. Chris, if Zay Jones is fit, it's a real tough quadrant of receivers to stop. Evan Ingram, Kirk, Ridley, and Zay Jones. Etienne's having a real good season as well. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but I have took the Jags against the spread.
Yeah, so I wish this had been one. I put my picks in yesterday for ATS. I wish I could have this one back. So I'm on the Jags as well. The Jags are 2-8 against the spread in the last 10 as a home favourite. They're awful at covering, and they're 3-7 straight up in those games. So they just lose the games as well. Never mind not winning and not covering. So interesting. But the home team in this series of games, so Colts, Jags had won up until the Jags beat the Colts in week 1 in Indy. The home team had won 11 straight in this fixture. So which again is a lean towards Jacksonville. But yeah, no, I wish I'd kind of seen that before Joe closed off the picks, because it does make me nervous. Jacksonville are miles better than Indy and should win this game. Look, if they're serious about making some noise in the playoffs in the AFC, this is the kind of game you need to take care of. And like I say, as Joe, you mentioned, it goes well on the way to helping them win the division. For Fantasy Game Day, who we like to look at, I think we've mentioned Ridley. Anyone else we like to look at from a Fantasy Game Day perspective?
I think Ridley or Kirk could really go off, truthfully. I'd stay away from
one or the other at the minute, doesn't it? It's not both, yeah.
Yeah, since week 1, Kirk's been getting like large target share, but I just think Ridley's got that like 40 game potential, whereas I think Kirk might have better weeks, but it's more in like that 20-25 point range. And I think in this format, you want players who will pop. Those medium good games are real good in real fantasy, but I think in tournaments where you want to be hitting that top end, I want if Calvin Ridley gets a 6 and you have a real terrible game, it's probably not going to impact your scoring too much from where if you got 12 or 15, whereas those big weeks is what is going to win you a week.
Yeah, I think I really like the look of Travis Etienne in this one. He started to get rolling. He had a big game last week, and it feels like he's found the groove now. I think he went for 130 and 2 touchdowns last week. Mm-hmm. It feels like he could go have a big game again. Joe, anyone from your perspective?
Yeah, I think if you obviously splash the cash and you're struggling to fill your squad, I think Michael Pittman might be a good shout for the Colts, because I think Minshew is going to throw it a lot more, and I think he's likely to play their main target. And I think in the last 2 games, he's had 21 catches and 230 odd yards and a touchdown against Jacksonville. So he's had 2 good games against them recently. So I think if you are struggling and you need someone to fill in, I think Pittman could be a good shout.
Yeah, so ETN, we talked about, it's £5,000 of your budget. Calvin Ridley, I think, is a steal, 3,600. I think that's a steal in this format. And then Pittman, because obviously those two were already in our team. Pittman's 4,000, which seems odd when Ridley's 3,600. But some good options there. So potentially some ones to include for your fantasy game day lineup. I'll just reset our lineup to put Ridley back in. Cool. Any bets? Any bets in this one for you guys? Byron, you mentioned kind of liking the Jags at the -4.
Yeah, I'll probably go on the Ridley over receiving yards as well. I haven't looked into what it is yet, but I've kind of like taken the alternate on those as well. Like, if he goes off for 100 or 110, you get yourself a real nice price. If his, over under's like 60 and he goes well over it, then
spot on. It's 59.5. So yeah, that's on Ridley. I love ETN's rush yards. It's 70 and 70.5. I fancy him to have another 100-yard game. Anything from you, Joe?
No, I'm not spotted FourFold because I've got this game in one of the picks, so I'll leave it to them.
Fair enough. And the other one, Lawrence over 1.5 touchdown passes. I like as well. It's low. It's -125 though, but I do like that one. Cool. Right, let's move on. Seahawks, Bengals. I'm real intrigued about this game. Seahawks, Bengals -2.5, over under 45. Feels like the Bengals got back on track last week. Joe, you've got Jamar Chase, rightly so, as your background after a huge week last week. Loving the orange. It pops very well. Let's go. Joe, what's your sort of feeling on the Seahawks-Bengals game?
I think I went for Bengals at the end, but that is really tricky because I actually think Seattle's been underplayed how well they've played. I think obviously the first week they didn't have the best start, but I think even though the Rams' record's not amazing, I think they're a lot better than what people thought they would be. So I think everyone's like, oh, Seahawks lost the Rams first week. Obviously, they're not your team. But then they've just won the last 3. And I think it's surprising that the Bengals are favored, even though they've only won 2 games, obviously, because how they played the last game. But it was the Cardinals. So I'm still not convinced like the Bengals are going to be that juggernaut AFC team. So I think the Seahawks could sneak this, especially being the underdog, and I think they could actually win this game because I think they're the kind of team who can put a run together and actually challenge for the NFC, especially getting to the playoffs. And I think they could even challenge the 49ers because I think, especially their offense, and I think even the defenses look really good. A couple of the rookies have played outstanding. So I think this is going to be a really good game. This is, except the Monday Night Football, I think this is probably the game I'm looking forward to the most.
What a pessimistic 49ers fan. The 49ers might look like they're never going to lose a game again. And you're going, the Seahawks might challenge them for the division.
Might do,
Byron, Burrow and Chase back on track last week. Feels like they need this one just to keep that going. It's like another backward step. Maybe the noise starts coming again.
Yeah, I agree with Joel. I think this might be my game I'm most excited to watch this weekend. Seahawks off a bye week. Probably see some more scheme touches for JSN. Maybe Charbonnet gets more involved. Extra week to get those tackles and guards back fit for Seattle. This is one of the toughest ones I had to pick this week. I went in the Seahawks with the +2.5, but I kind of think like if the Bengals hadn't had the issues they've had, I think I'd have struggled to pick this game if this was say +5 points. If we took away any kind of injury woes. I really like Seattle as a team as well. I think not going to say I think they'll push the Niners for the division, but I think in a one-off game, I'm not sure I wouldn't pick them as an underwhelming favourite against the Niners or the Eagles or the Lions, who've been the talk of the NFC so far. I don't think they're a million miles away from any of them. And in a one-off game, Pete Carroll's a great coach. I wouldn't necessarily bet against them with a big spread on any of them. And yeah, fully agree with John. It was the Cardinals the Bengals beat last week. They still looked really good, so like that does count for something, but Seahawks are a real good team and they're very professional. I don't think, they're going to go into the, bin necessarily. Bengals getting T. Higgins back would be a big help. I've not seen any latest injury reports on him, but he does certainly help take that pressure off Jamar Chase. Not that, he is always effing open, so he can just do it himself, but you certainly don't want to have to.
Yeah.
I think it's a real tight game, though.
And you know what, I give them enough stick for the schedule they choose, the games they show. But Sky Sports, this is the 6 o'clock game on Sky Sports for us in the UK, so they've done well this week. Another one of the games that we're going to preview is the 9 o'clock game. So you know what, credit where credit's due, because they give us Dolphins Giants last week. Oh, what was the point in that? And I was real surprised it wasn't Panthers Dolphins again. Like, the guy that runs Sky Sports NFL is a big Dolphins fan. It seems to get them all the time, whether they're good or not. So yeah, shout out Sky Sports NFL for doing the right thing and giving us the best game in the early slate to watch. Couple of stats. I told you I'm prepared. I'm flying on these stats this week. Seahawks on the road since the start of last season. Overs hit 6-3. So yeah, in the last 9, 6-3. I think that's a good one. I can see points here. You know, after the Bengals kind of seemed to get right last week, we know the Seahawks are. I think the Seahawks are a top 10 pass offense. Yeah, I like this one to be a bit of a high scoring game. No spoilers for later. Anything Fantasy Game Day? I mean, Chase an obvious one. Any others?
I think the only thing with Chase is obviously going against Witherspoon, who's looked a great rookie. So I'm curious. And if you said, if Higgins is out, it's puts a lot of pressure on him. I like Kenneth Walker because I think the Bengals' run defense is not been amazing. So I think obviously he didn't start the year the greatest, but he's had the last few games has looked better. So I think that could be again another nice shout if you need to if you spend a lot of money. I don't even know how much Kenneth Walker is, so I could be.
Yeah, I thought Pittman was a bargain a few minutes ago.
Yeah, good point. I was shocked that it was more than Midley. But yeah, I think Kenneth Walker could be a good shout, and I think
Walker was going to be my play as well. Bengals are going up with second most rushing yards in the league this year. Kenneth Walker
yards a game, yeah.
I think Walker will be taking advantage of that. I think Charbonnet might get involved, but I think Charbonnet is probably going to get involved if the Seahawks are 10 points ahead at some point. I don't think he's going to be taking touches from Walker necessarily.
Yeah, 5,600 for Kenneth Walker in Fantasy Game Day. But yeah, Bengals give 154 yards a game on the ground. So yeah, potentially a good one there. Only worse are the Denver Broncos. We'll get onto them later for a little bit, I guess. Any bets for this one? What we liking? I'm loving the over 45. I think it's real low number in terms of how these two offenses go, and defensively, I don't think they've been particularly great.
Yeah. I think the only thing I had with the struggled, because I was thinking the over, but then I was thinking, is this going to be like the Bengals-Rams game when it was just the offenses actually both didn't play well at all, and it was just a slog of a game. So that's the only thing I was worrying. I wonder if it's like, two good teams counteracting each other. So I think I've stayed away from most of this game just because it might look later in the week about touchdown scorers, but I haven't really got a sense of which way to go yet.
Fair. Byron, anything for you in this one?
I do like the Kenneth Walker over yardage again. Just I think he's going to eat. And I'd sprinkle a little bit on JSN anytime touchdown. It's at 3.
Has he got one yet?
No.
Yeah.
So I think, again, coming out of the bye week, he's a real good receiver. Like, it's not going to last that he doesn't get a touchdown. They took him first rookie wide receiver off the board for a reason. He has underwhelmed, obviously, but I always think coming out of the bye week, I think teams often make a concerted effort to get players drafted highly more involved. And yeah, plus 350 I think it's going to be a lot of points as well. I didn't take it as the over in our special just because I believe in London. And I believe in your stats, Paul, more importantly.
Don't do that.
But yeah, plus 350, I think for any time touchdown seems more than reasonable to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And then, so Walker's yards of 67.5. That seems, against the team that's given 154 yards a clip, doesn't seem, there's nothing to suggest that's slowing down anytime soon, I don't think. I think probably what we're going to need for the Bengals to win this one, I think they're going to need to get to Smith, to get to Geno a lot. I think, and look, I think in those big games in that Monday Night Football game against the Rams, we saw that it was the pass rush that won them that game. Is it going to be something similar? I don't know, but it feels like they're going to need a big performance from those guys to slow Seattle down. But yeah, I think the Bengals they really needed that one last week, so I'd lean towards the Bengals. I don't think I'll bet it, but I really like the over. I think 45. I just think, the way the Bengals were flying last week, Seattle for bye week, I just think, 45's easily done. Cool, right, yo. The other game that's going to be on Sky Sports, again, shout out Sky Sports, Lions Bucks, which is one I wouldn't have thought at the start of the season. I also didn't think this would be one that we'd talk about, but Tampa have played far beyond expectations. I think that's fair to say so far. It's Bucks +3, over-under's 43.5. Lions, the hype's coming around the Lions a lot after last week, and that's why I absolutely love Tampa in this one. I just think it's getting... the Lions do look good, but they've not done anything yet, and the hype around them is getting ridiculous. And that's why I love Tampa to spoil it.
Just beat the last year's Super Bowl winner and had a few big blowouts against teams, but okay.
I do kind of agree though. Like, it feels like the Lions at 4-1 get more hype than the Eagles at 5-0. It feels like a little bit like the Eagles are getting a little ignored, which I do kind of understand because we talk about them every week as like they're not looking great, but whereas it feels like Lions because they are the Lions. I think it was almost like getting hyped more than the Niners. I think if Niners hadn't been on primetime last week, the Lions might be the story of the season, and they have been real good. So I don't want to seem like I'm pissing on the bonfire a little bit. I'll pick the Lions here. I think the Lions are going to continue to crush, but I do kind of understand the getting tired of them a little bit narrative. But I still love them, so I'm not in it. I just kind of understand it.
Only if it's the expectation, and that's the thing, because you expect the 49ers to be up here.
Yeah.
The Detroit was like coming into the season was like, are they going to be one of them teams where we hype them up all off season? And it's
some people pick the Bears to have more wins than them, right, Paul?
Maybe.
No wonder he's tired of the fucking praise. I think it helps about having Dan Campbell because he's very easy to root for. He's very middle America. He's very, put your heart on his sleeve and bite your kneecaps and kick you in bollocks and all the rest of it. Like, he's a proper character. He's not like a Brandon Staley who's just everyone thinks some weirdo at a party. Like, Dan Campbell's going to be the life of the party. So,
yeah,
I think it definitely helps.
Yeah, in this spot, Lions is a favourite on the road. Doesn't happen very often.
1 and 2 in the last 40 years.
Only 10 times have been a favourite on the road since 2017. The 4-5-1 against the spread in that period. I'm not sure that tells you too much, to be fair. But yeah, I just really love Tampa in this one. I think Tampa are playing above expectation, but they're playing well. Like I say, they obviously struggled against Philly. Most teams are going to struggle against Philly. Yeah. But I think they've played really well. And yeah, I just really, really like the Bucs to win the game outright in this spot. I think they are just going to rain on that Lions parade.
One concern as well today, Sam Laporta didn't practice with a calf injury. And he's a big part of why Detroit have been so successful this year. Ben Johnson's a great OC. I'm sure he'll scheme around it. But, Sam Laporta might be the most valuable tight end in certainly dynasty fantasy football right now. He's young and he's shining. Not something you want to go without. Amon-Ra sounds like he will be back. Jahmyr Gibbs is still questionable as a draft pick and his status for this week. But
it'd be great if Dan Campbell could get him going. He's in my fantasy team.
Yeah, he's in a couple of mine as well. I think there's a big game coming. Just kind of like the same thing of if enough people start writing it off as a bad pick, a great game's coming, obviously.
Yeah. On the flip side of this one, Tampa are also horrible as home underdogs as well. So I don't think you read too much. Getting their 4-5-1 against the spread in the last 10 as a underdog at home and 2-8 straight up. So
put that on the advertising. Someone's 4-5-1 has got to go.
Yeah, someone's 4-5-1 has to go. So but it doesn't really tell you too much, I don't think, in that one. But yeah, I don't know. I really Baker's got guys that make plays.
Is Mike Evans playing there?
I think so. I know he's had the bye last week, didn't they?
Obviously, that's big. I think if Mike Evans doesn't play, then you're missing your main outlet for Baker. And I think that's one thing I praise Lions what they've done. They've had a lot of injuries. If one of them, if the Eagles had, or even the 49ers had the injuries what they had, so their main cornerbacks and offensive line stuff like that, we would be praising them for coming through that. And I think that's what I've been impressed with the Lions. They've had a lot of big injuries, probably one of the worst compared to all the other teams, and they still haven't really missed a beat. So I think that's why I'm impressed with Lions. And I think it feels like it's more the culture of that team has changed with Dan Campbell. So that's why I'm a bit more confident with them. But I can see the Buccaneers because obviously they've started well. Their retooled offensive line, I think they've let the least amount of QB hits and sacks in the league, which I don't think. I know they've had a bye week, so I don't know if you can how that works. But so I've actually been surprised how good they've looked and how good Baker's looked. But I am curious, was that just against certain teams when they played against a top quality team like the Eagles? It didn't happen. Our Lions on that same level, we'll see this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, who's to beat the Saints, the Bears, and the Vikings?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although Saints do have a relatively good defense. So, yeah, Fantasy Game Day player for this one. I think there's one obvious that stands out, but anything from you guys?
Is it David Montgomery?
It is Monty, yeah. He should have 3 touchdowns.
It's so funny that David Montgomery's gone from being a laughing stock 9 months ago to now he's like just jamming all your fantasy daily lineups. He's going to smash 3 touchdowns. Here you come. He's another one that has maybe gone a little too far with David Montgomery rather than the Lions in all my take. But he's going to keep falling in the end zone, it seems. He's actually playing well as well. That's disrespectful because he is playing really good football. To be fair, he's not falling in the end zone. He's not Jamal Williams from last year. He's playing really well. Yeah, I think David Montgomery makes a lot of sense. I always like a Monra in, I think it's half PPR this Fantasy Game Day format. It's not full PPR. Full PPR, I'd be all over a Monra every week, I think. Half PPR, maybe not as much because the Bucs have been pretty good on defense against the pass. And I think touchdowns are more likely to go to Monty. So, yeah, no issue with that for me.
Monty, yeah, £5,800 in Fantasy Game Day. Any bets on this one? I'm so tempted. I don't know if I'll bet the Bucs money line, but I really like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers +3.
If the line's low, annoyingly the lines aren't live right now because I think it's because of the Sam Laporta injury. Yeah. But I'm going to have a cheeky little punt on Jameson Williams yardage over. I just think they're going to try and get him involved again. Last week, bit of a washout, obviously, but as is most of his NFL career, truthfully, most well known for gambling on the NFL or gambling at an NFL facility, should I say?
Do you think he's going to be a good player, though? I think when you look at the best wide receivers in the league, they came to this league and they were like straight away, you could tell they're a good wide receiver. There's not been many lately where it's like they've started off like Williamson had, and then you're like, oh, suddenly he's a good wide receiver. I'm a bit doubtful if he's actually got what it takes to be there.
My only kind of like caveat for Williams is like his rookie year was always going to be what it was because he was coming off a torn ACL. And, if you discount that entirely, there's not really any sample size. It's tough because no one's really had. He went 12 in the draft, I believe. It was what did Detroit do at picking 12?
Yeah,
but
picking the 2022 draft.
He hasn't proven anything, and players who flame out and do nothing in the first year generally don't become real good wide receivers. I don't think he's going to ever be like Justin Jefferson. Like he's never going to be a top. He's never going to be a Monra, but I think he can certainly be a viable weapon. And I think Ben Johnson's probably the best offensive coordinator in the league over the last 2 years. It's hard to discount Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniels because they're not OCs, but just as straight up OC, I think what he does with that offense is really good. And I think Jameson Williams is definitely a burner. He can definitely gain yardage. You can get separation. Is that enough? It's probably a wasted draft pick, but I'm kind of hesitant to say he's not going to be a good player just because I'll give him the caveat of like a wasted rookie year. Like Travis Etienne didn't play his rookie year at all, I guess, and he still came through the second and this year, different positions, obviously. But I just find it so hard with the injuries.
I get real suspicious of college players that transfer between the big programs.
Yeah,
and there's no, that's just a feeling of me, and that's nothing because we've seen great players do that. We've seen Jalen Hurts do that. We've seen Joe Burrow do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Williams transferred from Ohio State, where they obviously have had these last few years produce wide receiver after wide receiver after wide receiver. Yeah, he went to Alabama, won a national championship. I just find that like kind of gave up at Ohio State sort of thing. And not that Alabama haven't produced some amazing receivers the last few years, but I don't know. There's always something in it around kind of why did he make the transfer? Why didn't he stick it out at Ohio State? Anyway.
I just love that you're throwing like won a national championship, whatever.
Yeah.
Like biggest thing he could have done.
Yeah. I mean, I think he had a 1,500 yard receiving season as well at Bama.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like, I don't know. There's just always something in it for me about Ohio State. Anyway, cool. Anything else on this one before we go to Monday Night Football?
I might check on Josh Reynolds anytime touchdown scorer, because I think him and Goff's got a good understanding from the Rams days. So if St. Brown's coming back and he's not fully fit, that could be one of his main targets.
Good price, plus 160, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same price as Amon-Ra St. Brown, actually. So, I inexplicably in our fantasy league, for some reason, dropped Josh Reynolds and picked up Chase Claypool. I have no idea what I was doing. I have no idea why I did that. I just checked my team, obviously the waivers, yesterday. And I was like, why have I got Chase Claypool? And then why did I let Josh Reynolds go, who was in my team last week? I had a moment, obviously. I think obviously I'd seen the trade and was like, oh, yeah, let's get Chase Claypool.
Did you see how, as we're not covering the Dolphins today, spoiler alert, did you see how Tyreek Hill described Chase Claypool today?
I didn't know.
He looks like a vending machine. No commentary for me.
That's all. That's all you
thought that was an incredible comment. Imagine going to your first day at your new job and being told, hey, buddy, you look like a vending machine. And what can you say? You can't disrespect Tyreek Hill or you'll be out the fucking building.
Yeah, what do you say to that? Yeah, wild. Also saying this one, if he's playing Mike Evans anytime touchdown scorer, he seems to just be on that roll again. He's going to get 1,000 yards. He's probably going to get kind of 10 plus touchdowns. Yeah, I just love Mike Evans. He's a great receiver, isn't he?
Yeah, always great.
Great receiver.
Johnny Manziel paid.
Johnny Manziel was getting himself paid as well for a while. Right, let's move on. Monday Night Football. Cowboys Chargers. I feel like we have a lot of Cowboys talk on this podcast. Cowboys Chargers. Chargers +2. Over under 51. It's gone out to 2.5 already. Over under 51. Joe, do you want to start us off on this one? I feel like you should always talk about the Cowboys first before we do.
Yeah, I think this is the game of the week again. The Cowboys in California. Yeah, it's a big game for both teams. To be honest, I think I picked the Chargers just because, yeah, it's the Cowboys. But it is a big game for the Cowboys because I think they do need to prove something in this game. I feel like if they flame out here as well, then again, going 3-3 against the defense, which has not played well at all in the Chargers, there's going to be huge narratives, especially around Dak, more than there is now. So I think it's a big game for the Cowboys. But I think on the reverse side, Chargers in the offseason was, the Chargers could actually do something this year. And they're somehow, they're 2-2, aren't they? But somehow all the games come down right to the end and they just stumble across the line against teams they should beat fairly comfortably. So I think this is a big game for both. I'm looking forward to it because, it's again another revenge game. Kellen Moore versus the Dallas Cowboys and Mike McCarthy. So I think it's going to see. I think the Dallas defense has been humbled twice this year, and I think if they get humbled the third time in this game, it's like, okay, they're actually not the 1985 Bears. They're a good defense, great against bad teams, but not just average against great teams. So I think it's big, especially for the Cowboys defense, and for Dak, because the Chargers have been terrible on defense. If he doesn't do it this game, then you got to think, what is Mike McCarthy's system? What are they doing? Have they just gone backwards from last year, which could spell the end for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say the offense has gone backwards. Dallas are terrible in this spot as well. So on the road as a 3-point or less, it's gone to 2.5 now. So as a 3-point or less favorite on the road, the 3-7 straight up and 3-7 against the spread as in this spot. I'm really worried for the Cowboys in this one. I think, look, it must win. I think it's just so important for them to get back on track here. So important. And I think the defense will step up. And I think the defense will have a much better game. Something to prove, chip on the shoulder. Everyone's doubting us, sort of piece after getting ripped apart by San Francisco. It's just whether the offense is going to be able to do it. Because the Chargers will still score points. It's just whether... it's just how far that goes. But I think this one might be a bit of a low-scoring game, even though you've got kind of the Chargers' high-powered offense, not great defensively. Cowboys should be good defensively, not so great offensively. But I think it might be a bit of a turgid game, nervy one. Byron, how are you viewing it?
Yeah, I'm not confident as a Cowboys fan, I must say. And yeah, massive Kellen Moore narrative. And it was always going to be. It was so early in the season. You know, if there was any offensive problems for Dallas, it was always going to be a huge talking point, and rightly so. You know, I've seen quotes attributed to Mike McCarthy this week about they're a defensive team and that's what they should be building the bread and butter on. It's like, you've got CeeDee Lamb, who's one of the best receivers in the league. Tony Pollard played like one of the best running backs in the league over the last 12 months. You're paying Dak Prescott like he should be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Something's got to give. You can't now come around and say you're a defensive team because your offense isn't performing. One of the things I found interesting this year so far, Dallas are 28th in red zone touchdown percentage, which, I mean, we all know it's bad, but like that is bad. You know, the only team below them is Houston, Tennessee, the Jets, and Pittsburgh. That isn't, those skill players is not an offense that matches that on paper. And, you know, the O-line hasn't had huge issues. And, you know, finally got them all back this week, but it certainly hasn't been like a weakness other than the Cardinals game. And contrarily, the Chargers are 5th in the same metric. I know you don't like Kellen Moore, but last year Dallas were number 1 in that metric. The year before they were number 6 in that metric. Seems like there might be something there to Kellen Moore is a good play caller. I kind of worry that Dallas might shit the bed again. The offense really needs to get going. The defense, I think, is going to be good. I'm not saying the Chargers are going to come and put, 30-10 on them. I don't think it's going to be anything like last Sunday. But I think like losing by a touchdown would be a bad performance here when the 2.5-point favorites. And it's a thing of being the Cowboys. You're always going to be the story. They might not have won a Super Bowl for 30 years, but they're still the Cowboys. They're still, it's like Liverpool in the Premier League era. Like, you're always going to be the story because people expect big things, and you are big and brash, and you have Jerry Jones as owner. Like, there's nothing humble about Dallas. So when you do fail, people enjoy it. When you win, people don't enjoy it. Understandable, but yeah, I think the story this week might be a negative one for Dallas, and hopefully I'm just overreacting to last Sunday and seeing the pants pull down a little. But I've really liked the Chargers all off season, and coming off a bye, Austin Eckler's probably going to play. Sounds like big addition. I think Quentin Johnson, a bit like my thoughts on JSN earlier for the Seahawks, coming off a bye week, early rookie wide receiver who's underwhelmed so far. I think they're going to make a concerted effort to get him involved, and from college, yak master. So they're missing Mike Williams. Get Quentin Johnson the ball in space and see what he can do. I just kind of worry that Kellen Moore might maybe bring all his clubs out of his bag for this week and try and make a big impression in Dallas, and maybe, told you so.
Yeah, understandably, I'm sure Kellen Moore's had this one circled. Probably what Dallas probably didn't need was a Monday night primetime football game after last week. Yeah. I think it is going to be tough. I think I've got them just to win, just out of, to cover out of winning cover just out of sheer loyalty. I do like the under though. As I mentioned before, I really do like the under. I think again with these big totals, it's 51 on ours in here. I think it's already come down to 50.5. Oh no, it's back to 51. With the big totals, I just like playing the under because they tend to go under more than they go over. Anything else to add on this one? Any other bets that we like for Monday Night Football? Joe, if you say Dak over so many picks again.
No, not with the Chargers. They're not that kind of defense. I think looking at Eckler, I think agree with Byron. I think he's key to the Chargers winning, just because when he played the first week, they rushed for so many yards, and then they've just not done anything the last few games. So I think they're going to attack Dallas that way. I wonder if they're going to look at how the 49ers managed to win, especially on the ground, and see if they can do that with Eckler, what they did with McCaffrey. So I think anytime touchdown, even plus, more than one touchdown for Eckler might be a good shout, I think.
Anytime minus 110, 2 or more plus 400.
Mm-hmm.
For Eckler. Byron, anything from you?
No, DraftKings don't have the touchdown odds up right now. Not sure what's happened there. But I imagine I'll probably have a little play on Quentin Johnson, just same narrative as the JSN. And
plus 350 anytime touchdown scorer.
Yeah, so very similar again for JSN on that field. So yeah, I think that's probably where my bet will be. and I'll see how gloomy I'm feeling before Monday night if there's anything worse than that goes on. Justin Herbert over 5,000 yards. I don't know.
Good stuff. Yeah, Monday Night Football. It feels like it's been a few weeks since we talked about a Monday Night Football game. So yeah, it should be a good one. Should be a good one. But I think a cagey one. And yeah, I think Mike McCarthy needs to get the watermelons out for this one. This needs to be a watermelon game. They need this one bad. Cool.
I did love the phrasing. Sorry, it just reminded me of Joe. I've mentioned it earlier around the NFL podcast this week. There's the Chargers would have a close game with the high school across the field. So that is exactly how they are. Like, they will not. It's not going to be a 10-point game, I don't think. I think it's going to be a touchdown game. And
come down to Dak at the end. Either touchdown or interception, just to see what the narrative is.
I don't know if I'd rather it comes down to Dak or Brandon Staley on 4th and 1. Like,
yeah, I like my chances there. Yeah.
Yeah, who's he going to give it to? Isaiah Spiller or something?
Yeah, I like my chances there. Right, let's move on. Let's go and have a look at our FourFold challenge. So earlier on, you heard our special guest, Nick Bodkins, at Bodkins Nick, from the Let's Talk Sports Network, give his 4 picks. Let's go over here and we'll talk over the games. There are loads of games we've still got to talk about because none of us have really picked the games that we have already talked about. So we're going to be here a while. I'm on Eagles Jets. The Jets got a win last week. Eagles -7. But I just love the Eagles in this spot. I think the Eagles are kind of due to go off against somebody, and I think it could be the Jets this week. Byron, the poor New York Giants are on Sunday Night Football. They definitely don't need this. My Bills are -14 at home. Yeah, what's there to say?
Yeah, I mean, they were very lucky to keep it as close as they did against the Dolphins with 2 INTs, one for a pick 6 last week. I think if you offer the Giants the end of the season now, no more wins would probably take it. They look spent. And I don't really know what that boards for their future, really. Like, they're tied to Daniel Jones at least one more year. And he's probably going to, it sounds like he's going to miss this game with Ty God getting his revenge game. And I like because Brian Daboll was clearly pissed off with Daniel Jones. You could see it on his face. I think it was in the Seahawks game. Like, what are you doing? And we make concessions with Daniel Jones a lot about the O-line. There's no receivers, there's no weapons, there's nothing there, and there isn't. But his coach, I think, hates him right now by the look of his face. And yesterday, discussing his neck injury, I just love the way he said, he's a bit sore, and it sounds like something you'd say to a toddler who's just grazed a knee, not your franchise quarterback who's not got a broken neck, but has a very serious neck injury. And I kind of think Daboll might be getting towards the end of his leash with Daniel Jones without a second plan. So none of that is really to do with this game. I don't see how the Bills. I don't know what you'd have to put the over under for me to not pick this. Maybe 20. I just think it's going to be.
I think Bills have got something to prove as well. I think.
Yeah, they just lost last week.
Yeah, that kind of a game, how they played this, okay, let's prove. Similar to what they did after the Jets game. I feel like it's going to be that kind of game. And yeah, the Giants are line. I know, Daniel Jones gets a lot of the brunt of it, but it's just, could just put traffic cones there and probably do a better job at protecting the quarterback. So.
At least it's all fast food workers.
Good luck, Tyrod.
Yeah. Well, Tyrod's scramble game is still good.
So Daniel Jones is going to be out, isn't he? By the looks of it, he's not practiced. The list is wild of injuries, so I'll reel it off. So Deontay Banks, the rookie cornerback, limited in practice. Saquon Barkley, limited in practice. Daniel Jones did not practice. Who else we got on here? There's loads of others, but John Michael Schmitz, the center, did not practice. Andrew Thomas did not practice. Darren Waller did not practice.
How many of these do you think seeing it was the Bills on Monday? I'm like, Hammy's. It's a little stiff this week, boss. Got a sore neck.
Possibly. I mean, the Bills did pick up some injuries last week as well, didn't they? But yeah, it just feels like maybe the Giants are kind of, not even quietly quitting.
Cannon fodder was going to be my fault, but yeah.
I mean,
more polite.
I talked about it last week. I do feel sorry for Daniel Jones. Some of those sacks are on him, but there's a lot of it where he's just not getting any help. Maybe we'll see Evan Neal apply for a job at Buffalo Wild Wings while he's up there in Western New York this week. Cool. Joe, you're on San Francisco 49ers, and so is Bodkins. Yeah, confident in this one. It's 6.5. I think. Yeah,
it's moved to 8. Yeah, it's moved to 8.5 already. So I put the bet on today, literally about a couple hours ago. I got it at 7.5. So obviously it's moved it a lot. I'm guessing it's to do with Watson's still not confident. It's still 50-50. It's really weird narrative that no one has any idea if he's playing or not, or like what the injury is, or what's happening. Because obviously, he was clear to play 2 weeks ago, week 4. He sat out because he didn't want to risk it, and then they've had the bye week, and it's still up in the air. I know they're going to play PJ Walker if Watson is out. They're not going to throw a DTR in again.
I love a PJ Walker game.
So so I'm fairly confident just because of that. So their offense is not going to do anything if PJ Walker's playing, and then Cleveland Browns have got a great defense, but how good the Niners are, I think they're still going to put up 24 to 28 points at least, and I don't think the Browns are good enough to put 20 on the 49ers. So I'm fairly confident with the -6.5.
I've just added it to my card, Joe. Niners -8.5, so I'll get that now before it moves. I've just put it on. I didn't see that move, which is real frustrating. I'd much preferred it at the 6.5, but hey ho, I'll take it at the 8.5, and I'll probably take the team total for the Niners whenever I find it, because again, they always just seem a bit funny. I'll try and find it here while we're talking about it. But any chance that Cleveland front slow down the Niners?
I think in the run game they will, because I think they've got, and obviously Myles Garrett is probably still in the top 2 up for defensive player of the year, and I think he has the difference with Parsons. He's obviously a linebacker / defensive end, so I think the Niners knew they could just run at him and play power run towards him, and that's his weakness. But you can't do that to Myles Garrett. So I think it's up to the rest of the line. So I think it's going to be a lot of quick throws out from Brock Purdy again. So I'm shouting out Debo, Kittle, Juszczyk. Just that, I think they're just going to do a lot of short throws along the line to make sure Garrett doesn't have a massive effect, because I'm still not 100% confident with the 49ers O-line, but they've actually played better than I expect them to. So, yeah, unless PJ Walker has a game of his life, then I still think it's going to be a bit of a blowout.
It's fun, that's for sure. The team total's low. Niners team total's, the line's 23.5, so I'll be adding over 23.5 points for the Niners to my card.
Plus me as well.
Oh, it's -115 here.
Plus 100 on DraftKings, I was just checking.
God damn it. But yeah, -1. The next step up is -27.5. I like 23.5. Niners, surely they'll find a way to score 24 points.
Yeah, the under 23.5 is -120 on DraftKings.
Wild. God damn it, bet 365.
I'll just be clicking that over right now.
Cool. Underdog, I'm going back to the well. Chicago Bears, +2.5 at home against the Minnesota Vikings. Bodkins is on that with me as well. I think the Bears have just got a bit of momentum offensively at the minute. Justin Fields has put 2 good performances, or relatively good performances, back to back. They've got DJ Moore going. I don't know, and the Vikings are absolutely rancid defensively, aren't they? So I don't know. I really like Chicago, but I'm just getting sucked in again. I don't know, but I'm on Chicago. What do you guys think? Chicago Vikings?
I agree with the pick, and I hate saying it. It's not my selection, but I didn't like the Vikings coming into the season, and they've underwhelmed a little, I guess. Offense is still good, but the offense doesn't have Justin Jefferson anymore.
Yeah.
Bears have looked better the last 2 weeks. Obviously, they still lost to Denver, and they weren't perfect against Washington, but like expecting perfection from the Bears is not taking them +2.5 against Minnesota in Chicago. If I was picking a side here, I'd definitely be taking the Bears. I'm not sure there's that huge of a talent disparity without Justin Jefferson there. I mean, that is a big, caveat, but he isn't there. So, yeah, I think there's, after what feels like an awful first month of the season, like it feels like the vibes are a little better on Chicago right now, whereas, Minnesota, it's like, well, are they going to trade Kirk Cousins at the deadline? Is he going somewhere? Yeah, I would take the Bears here.
I think it would make sense. That trade for Kirk Cousins keeps getting brought up, right? And I think it would make sense for the Vikings to do it. You're going to be without Justin Jefferson for the next 4 weeks. You could actually, Kirk Cousins is capable of winning a game with those, Hawkinson, Addison, Osborne. He can win a game, right?
Course,
but him winning a couple of games now, and you just getting a bit of a later draft pick. Whereas, can you ship Kirk Cousins? Could you get a second rounder for him?
I was going to say, I think the issue is who wants to pay that much for him.
Yeah.
Like when you actually look at the teams who need a quarterback, they have to give draft picks. The most obvious one is the Jets, but the Jets just want to get another quarterback just for one season because obviously going to go for Rodgers moving forward. So do they want to give a second round pick? I don't think like Atlanta, but I feel like they're all in on Ridder. So I think it's more, are they actually going to get that much for him right now when there's not a team crying out for one who's had a big injury where they don't see the future quarterback in the future?
Yeah. And it might be that someone goes down in these next, about 20 days away from the deadline. So if someone goes down the next couple of weeks, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. It just feels like from Minnesota's perspective, it would be better for them to get rid of him. But like I say, it's just nowhere. They're probably going to ask too much and the landing spot be difficult. Because, I think with still playing Kirk Cousins, you're going to win a few games and you might just end up being in a spot where you can't get one of those quarterbacks in the draft. And then what do? You're going to pay Kirk Cousins another contract? Probably not. What do you do? Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's tough as well because Kirk Cousins, I'm 90% sure has a no trade clause as well. So
yes, he does. Yeah, you'd have to kind of waive that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think Atlanta is the obvious fit, but
I just feel like Arthur Smith's just put his foot down and
Well, I think the issue I was going to say is as well, like we presume the Vikings are going to draft a rookie quarterback next year. So, for the comp pick, they'll get a third round pick for Cousins anyway. Through the compensation, pick calculator, because it's not signing a veteran contract to replace a veteran QB to replace that contract, then they're going to be massively scaled on that sense. And whoever pays Kirk Cousins is going to pay Kirk Cousins. So they're going to lose a shitload of salary that way. And they're going to get a 2025 third round pick in compensation for him. So do you trade him for a 2024 third round pick just to get him off the books? I would. But I'm not trying to keep a good culture in a franchise. I don't care what the Vikings feel like in their locker room that they've given up on the season.
Yeah. I like obviously the Vikings they've all been one score game so far, and that's why I like the +2.5 Chicago as well. Byron, Joe, you're both on the Houston Texans at home to the New Orleans Saints. What's the logic behind this one?
I think I struggled this week with I think I picked quite a lot of the favorites when I was looking at it. I think the other one was the Chargers, but I did not feel confident in that sense. I'm not a big fan of the Saints. I know they beat, the New England Patriots by 34 points, but, plenty of teams are going to do that this year. And I think Houston's looked good, especially with a 1.5. So I think Texans are going to actually win this game outright. So it's fairly confident.
I think probably with this one, I think this might be the first game where we see CJ Stroud struggle because the Saints do have a pretty decent defense. And I think they might throw some stuff at Stroud that he's not seen and that he might struggle with, especially especially the corners. The secondary is relatively good. I just think this might be the one where we see CJ Stroud show those first signs of struggling. And, there's no shame in that. You've kind of real good 5 weeks. But I just think the Saints defense might just be able to kind of get under his skin and disrupt him a bit. Byron, you're on it as well. Yeah, what's the thought process?
I fully agree with you. I think the Texans are a better team. This is the second week in a row. I was very lucky last week, truthfully. I got them at +2.5 early in the week, and they finished as +2 on the push with the Falcons. And CJ Stroud, I think he's already embarrassed a better defense in the Steelers earlier in the week, early in the season. Obviously, he's going to come unstuck at some point. He's not, second-year Patrick Mahomes. Like, there will be a bad week at some point. And the Saints are a good defense, so it certainly could be this week. I think the Texans are an all-around better team. I think the Saints have maybe got pumped up a little bit too much from beating the junior varsity level Patriots. I kind of feel like the line's the wrong way around here. And if this was a primetime matchup, it might swing, but I don't think there's going to be enough volume to bet on it between now and Sunday to make it move. But I was delighted when I seen the Texans at plus against a mediocre team again. And like I said, I got lucky with it last week against Atlanta, where they did only just squeak by on my initial, and it was a push on the +2, but can't push at 1.5. So give me the Texans.
Saints as a road favourite, 3 points or less in the last. Probably I was going to say last 10, but that doesn't cover it because there's some Drew Brees in there. But you look at the last 5, they're 1-3-1. The Saints as a road favourite, 3 points or less. So, You might be on the right side of it there, gents. Bo went with me. Bodkins, went with me. The Bears, Vikings. Bears plus 2.5. Over. We talked about this one already. I love Seahawks, Bengals as the over. Byron, yes, the London over. We're going to get one. Ravens, Titans. I think I'm going to bet the under. Joe, you're the over Colts. Jags. And Bodkins went over Lions. Bucks, I'm on the under Dallas Chargers. We talked about that already as to why. What a rancid game. Patriots at Raiders. Oh, can't believe we didn't talk about this one in the preview, Byron.
I can't believe we're talking about it now. I thought we'd just go, well, obviously it's an under tick. Move on. 41 isn't a high number, but I mean, unless the Raiders win 42-0, I think we're pretty good here. Ugly game. I don't know how you get to 42 points, really, unless, Jimmy G revenge game, McDaniel revenge game for giving him a career. I'm not sure if that's really revenge.
I feel like we've already had the revenge game with how last season ended. The lateral fumble.
Yeah.
Chandler Jones return.
Maybe that's how you get an over.
It's Myers, isn't it? It's his revenge
Kobe
game.
Myers revenge
game. Myers revenge game.
Yeah. Maybe that's how you get the over. Well, he threw that pass, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he was getting his revenge game in early while he was still on the franchise. I mean,
they've definitely got to do like a trick play. They've got to do a trick play with him throwing a touchdown for Vegas. Just rub it in.
He's not a bad passer, actually, Jacoby Myers. Now that you say it. He's thrown a few
Chandler Jones.
I was going to say, he's thrown a few actual ones, yeah. And also, the most famous of all. This game is utter, trash. Yeah. I'm trying to be not polite about it. I'm trying to be creative about it. I can't think of any good words to use. Dismal. There's nothing to watch.
Pathetic was one you used last week a lot.
Yeah, I use that a lot. Yeah.
I've clipped that. I need to post it somewhere. I clipped it, but I don't know what to do with it.
I'll get it on TikTok hopefully tonight when I get it set up. So.
Yes. The page is calling the Patriots pathetic. It's great. Joe, you're on Eagles Jets under 41. This could be, 31-0.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going for. I was tempted to go into the Patriots and Raiders as well. That was it was in between these two, and I just think I can't see the Jets scoring more than 7. So it's just can they limit Eagles? And I think they both got good defenses, so I don't think the Eagles are going to, put 40 on them. So, yeah, I think I said this a few weeks ago, but then I think Carolina ended up scoring 20, which I wasn't expecting. So, we'll wait and see. But it
is going to be fun seeing Zach Wilson against that D-line.
Exactly. So I can't really see them scoring that many points. So I thought, go for this one.
Cool. And then Bodkins finishes us off. He's on the London under Ravens Titans under 41. So I suppose the rankings for this, I'm 9-10-1 in last place. The guests are 10-10. Byron's 12-7-1 and Joe's 13-3 so far. Is that right? Oh, we're a week missing out, eh? How many weeks have we done? 5?
Yeah, we've had 5 weeks, so 20 divided by 4 is 5.
Yeah, I'm missing mine. I'm 16-4. Yeah, I'm 16-4.
Oh, you're missing some of them.
Well, just couldn't cut.
I mean, there's another 3 in 1 week, to be fair. So it's not like he's hindering himself.
Yeah, lost count. So yeah, Joe's 16-4. So a 4-game lead over Byron at the minute, and 7.
I thought I was within 1.
I know, so did I was like, that didn't make sense. But yeah, Joe, I'm 7 behind. I'm coming for you. I'm going to start reeling off a couple. I'm due a 4-0, right? I said I didn't like one. Sorry?
You're definitely due one, but...
Yeah. Whether it's going to happen. But I think I said I didn't like it before because I did it in a rush, but I know I kind of do like it now. Let's finish off looking at the rest of our ATS picks. I don't think we've got too many games to go. Who's on the bye week this week? It's the Steelers, and who else is on the bye week?
Green Bay.
Green Bay, yes, of course. We talked about him. So just before, obviously, NHL started this week. We're not a hockey podcast, but did you hear in the Pittsburgh home opener?
Yes.
Big Pirates, the entire arena was chanting Fire Matt Canada.
Perfect. Love it.
Wow, there must have been so many of those hockey players wondering why, that are from Canada, on the ice, wondering what the hell was going on.
You mean the Penguins, by the way?
Yes, Pittsburgh Penguins. Did I say Pirates?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I had no idea.
I live in Canada. I've got to know this stuff,
Yeah. Penguins. Yeah, sorry, I support the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team. That'd be why. But yes, Pittsburgh Penguins home opener. I think they'll play Chicago Blackhawks. But anyway, yeah, fire that Canada was the chant, which was just wild. Let's see if they do. Yes, the ATS picks then. Let's finish it off, and then we'll shout out any of the best bets. Well, I think we've covered them, to be fair. If there's any more that come up, and then we'll sign off for the week. So let's have a look. Thursday night football. We talked about this one a little bit, but we're all on the Chiefs. I'm really not. I'm on the Chiefs because it's probably just the right play because of how bad the Broncos are. But just the Chiefs are so bad at covering those 10-point plus spreads.
I just chucked in because Kelsey's playing. I think if Kelsey wasn't playing, I would have gone the Broncos. But yeah, I'm not confident as well because the Chiefs I've had like not a blowout win, but if they can't blow out the Denver defense, then.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Chicago by 30, didn't they? I guess that was a
but who cares about the Bears?
But yes, we'll get. I think we're on the Chiefs, so we'll see that one. I'm on the Titans, as already discussed. Titans +4. I just think Vrabel in this spot as an underdog and low-scoring game, and Ravens as a favourite, low-scoring game. So yeah, I like the Titans to cover. Byron Joe and the Ravens. We're all in Miami, -13.5. Has that gone out anymore yet?
Still last I checked.
Yeah,
no, it hasn't.
Still -13.5. I think maybe we'll see the Miami do what we thought they were going to do to the Giants last week and just absolutely shit pump the Panthers. The Panthers are really bad. I had them winning the division. Jesus Christ, they're not won a game. This could be a lot. 70 against the Broncos. I don't know. Maybe it won't be that much back. I see maybe 50.
Yeah, I wonder what their alternate lines you can get are because. I know 13.5 is a lot, but like 30 would be, it wouldn't be a shocker if they won 40-10. Would anyone be surprised?
Yeah, I got burned on that last week, going 19.5 against the Giants. This week, but I suppose which combination of Dolphins players should you be including for Fantasy Game Day is the question to ask in this one.
It feels like more such a safest bet. Jeff Wilson probably is going to be back,
and then Hill. Just because he's,
Tyreek.
Yeah, he just throw him like 5 yards and he goes like 85. So I think that's usually the.
And yeah, the biggest spread DK have on it right now is 27.5 at +413. It's not a huge price for 30 points essentially.
Yeah,
but it makes sense because if it's a huge price, I'd be sticking a mortgage on it. So
yeah,
probably good for me as well.
We've got Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Jacksonville. We've talked about are all on Jacksonville -4. Me and Byron on the Bears +2.5. Joe's on the Vikings. We've talked about I'm on the Saints -1.5. Joe and Byron on the Texans. Me and Joe on the Bengals -2.5. Byron on the Seahawks. All on the Niners -6.5. All on Atlanta as -2.5. I flipped and flopped with this one. I found out this was going to be one of the games we discussed until I cheated. So I remembered we had a London game. Yeah, I really flipped and flopped on this one. I found this one real difficult I'm finding this one real difficult to call because Atlanta had obviously a better week than Ridder did last week. Yeah.
I think they get back to the ground and pound this week because I don't think Ridder's going to be airing it out as much. And my kind of thing is just I'm kind of getting a bit, not on his performance, but like on a physical health level. I'm kind of a bit worried Sam Howell that he's just getting sacked every 5 plays, it feels like. And
I think he's on for like 90+ sacks this season. I think it's
99.
Yeah, it'll be like the record. I think the record was like 70 odd was David Carr.
Yeah, it can't last. And he's on. I don't think he's got enough snaps in the NFL yet for this rate I've seen, but he's got the worst sack rate in NFL history as well. Like he's just getting sacked every. I think it is about 5 plays or every 5 dropbacks, should I say? It's not cheap. Like you can't live with that. Jacoby Brissett's a fine backup, obviously, so it's not the end of the world. But if they rated Jacoby Brissett, he'd be starting.
Yeah, true. In this one, Atlanta terrible as a home favorite in the last 10. They're 2-8 against the spread. Washington is a 3-point or less road underdog, 5-4-1 against the spread in the last 10. Yeah, Patriots, Vegas, we're all on the Raiders. Good win for the Raiders on Monday, I think. I know Green Bay were pretty rancid, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty good win for Vegas.
Yeah, we didn't touch on it in the review, really, but Josh McDaniels, whoever the cornerback was, I forget now, who made the interception, a huge gratitude because going for that field goal, what was it, 52-yarder? Is no watermelons are out at that point. Let's just say it's pathetic. Either put the ball and make Jordan Love go down the field and win, or just try and get the yard. Like, you've got Devon Adams, you've got Jacob Myers having an incredible game. You've got Josh Jacobs, one of the best running backs in the league, and your thing is to kick a 52-yard field goal to not even put it out of sight. Ugh.
I would say the thing about the Raiders as well. So they got the Bears next week, then they got the Lions, but then they have the Giants and then Jets. So they could easily be 4-1 from them games, and then you're sitting like, oh, the Raiders have actually got a better record than you would expect. I guess you'll play get a lot worse after that.
Yeah,
they got the Dolphins, Chiefs, Vikings, Chargers, Chiefs, Colts.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, obviously, I'm on the Vegas under win total, which I think is 7 or 6.5. So yeah, need them to have less than 7 wins. So I don't know if they could go through that run and be 6-4. That would be rancid. Just on that one, Vegas though is a 3-point home, 3-point or less home underdog. Real good, 7-3 in the last 10 straight up. 7-3 straight up, and 7-3 against the spread. They're pretty good in that spot. Yeah, interesting. We're all on the Rams. Cardinals are still frisky and competitive, and I thought this might have tailed off by now, but it hasn't.
I was kind of surprised that we all went for it, truthfully. I mean, obviously, I think it will because that's why I went for it, but I was kind of surprised that we all did. Yeah, could be a closer game, but the Rams are just a better team, and McVay's a real good coach. Cardinals have played really well, obviously, but just going to stick with better being better.
Yeah, that's a team that hasn't thrown the towel in. Yeah, I think that's, I suppose, all I can really ask for. The talent deficit is huge. But I think, I feel like the Rams might get rolling a little bit as well. Like Cooper Kupp came back and just slotted right back in last week. Yeah, Stafford's good, staying healthy. Donald is. Yeah, just in those three, you're going to win some games. I've talked about already. I love Tampa. Byron Joe on the Lions -3. All on Philly -7. All on Buffalo -14. And then I'm on Dallas -2 at the Chargers. I don't love it. Byron and Joe are on the Chargers. We're close in this one at least. I've had a good couple of weeks to close the gap. So Byron and Joe are tied at 43, 31 and 4, and I'm 3 games behind at 40, 34 and 4. I think I might catch you. I'm hoping I might catch you this week. I've got a couple of different picks, haven't I? So could swing this week.
Could do.
We shall see. Right, I think that's us, gents. I think we're finished.
Nice one,
yeah. Pretty good this week.
Bit timelier, yeah.
We
now have 40 minutes to talk about, I need to Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, so that'll cut down the time.
True, yeah. No Mike Tomlin talk this week. Cool. So thanks ever so much for listening to our Week 6 Picks and Preview episode. As always, make sure you go follow us. Spotify, Good Teams and Great Teams Cover to be notified of new episodes. Give us a follow on Twitter/X, Instagram, and YouTube at GTW_GTC. And we will have a TikTok account shortly. Yet to be named, but hopefully it's GTW_GTC just to make it fit with everything else.
It will. Unless it's already been taken, but I highly doubt it.
Good stuff. And look out for some great Fantasy Game Day promos that we might film if I'm not poorly over the weekend. That should be fun. But as last but not least, make sure you go sign up for Fantasy Game Day. NFL Daily Fantasy in the UK has arrived. These guys are killing it. Prize pool is increasing every week. More entrants every week. Go sign up. Register for an account. Make sure you use promo code COVER, Charlie, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo, all capital letters. Once you've deposited some funds, entered a lineup, you'll then receive a credit for a free play. So you can have that as a second lineup because you can have up to 5 any week, or you can save it for another week. It's been great fun so far. The app's great, the game's great, and there's money to be won. So if you're fishing the top 20%, you'll get yourself a cash prize. 18 years and above, UK only. Please gamble responsibly. That's us until Tuesday night, where we will do our Week 6 review. So Byron, Joe, thanks ever so much. And to Nick Bodkins, our guest earlier, thanks ever so much. We'll catch you next week.
Cheers.